everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh my gosh, welcome to Sarah's Kitchen. If you found me off of Instagram and my beautiful girlfriend, Kris Jenner, welcome. We are gonna tackle our 100-layer cake, but you can make it as many layers as you like. First step is I'm gonna make the custard for you guys, and let me show you the cake. It's on the picture. This cake, in actuality, is the one that we served Kris Jenner last night, and it was amazing. So that's all that's left of it. And I'm glad we had some to show you guys. Thank you, Ara. We are gonna start with the recipe. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, please do so. That way you can be updated with what I put here on YouTube. Comes through Instagram. Let's take the jewelry off. We don't need that. And hit the notification bell. That way you get notified. My daughter's sitting here watching me. You get notified when I post a new recipe. So welcome to Sarah's Kitchen. This is where all the magic happens. And if you saw last night, Kris Jenner was in my kitchen and we made Cinnabons. They were delicious and they disappeared. And yes, and subscribe and you can get all of my yummy recipes. Now these recipes, once I put it out for you guys, it's foolproof, it's been tested, kids love it. Feel free if you have any questions, go ahead and email me, I will answer everyone. So for the custard, which is the cream filling, we're gonna need 4 egg yolks. I'm gonna start by telling you guys we need 4 egg yolks, 1/3 cup sugar, 1/4 cup cornstarch, 2 cups of milk, 2 tablespoons of butter, vanilla paste, which I love. I bought it on Amazon, or vanilla bean if you have. If you don't have either or and you just have vanilla extract, go ahead and use that. But the paste and the bean is really special because you get the little black spots, kind of like vanilla bean ice cream. It's really yummy. And 2 pinches of salt. This is for the custard. And then you gotta make whipped cream and fold it into the custard. And then the third part is making the crepe, tomato. So we're gonna start with separating our eggs first. And you want 4 egg yolks. I like to use my white eggs whenever I'm doing this. I have my own chickens, as you know, and I'm using my white eggs because I like to keep the colorful ones. I don't know, it's like a mental thing I have. I use the white ones for baking. 4 egg yolks, and you wanna be ready to go on the stove and in, ooh, you can't see where I have the egg yolks. So here we go, let's put it here so you guys can have a good visual of what it is I'm doing. There's 1 egg yolk. This cake flourished from a Valentine party I went to, and I tasted it. I'm such a foodie. I tasted it and do you see what I just did? I swear to God, I'm a cook. Yo loca. Ahora, ven por favor. Pone esta aquí. I dumped esta aquí. I dumped the egg yolk into the white. Thank you. All right, that's 2. Thank you, Ara. And I tasted it there. It was from a bakery here in town in Los Angeles, and I thought, oh my gosh, it was so delicious, silky, soft, just the right amount of sweetness. And so when we made plans for Miss Jenner to come over for dinner, I thought I'm gonna have to make her something spectacular that she's never had before. And sure enough, The cake was a hit and she hadn't had it. I asked her, say hello. Hi. All right, let me rinse my hand. Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. I got my whisk. You're gonna add 2 good pinches of salt, or 1 big one. That's good, 1 big one. Pinch of salt goes in there. I wanna make sure you guys get a good view of what's happening. And then to this, I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup sugar, pinch of salt. I'm gonna whisk this like that. And what I'm gonna do, what I will do is put this here so it doesn't wobble. There you go. And then you need 1/4 cup cornstarch. This part is quite important that you sift it into your egg yolk. 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Now there are different custards. Some people, if you prefer flour custard, go ahead and make that. You're not gonna make or break your dish. The point is you're making a simple custard and then you're gonna fold it in with your whipped cream. 1/4 cup of cornstarch. Ooh, and you're gonna get it all over your stove, so don't go crazy. Now the recipe calls for 2 cups of milk, but I'm going to add 1/2 cup to this first, and then 1.5 cups of hot milk. So first, you're gonna mix 1/2 cup of milk out of your 2 cups in here. And then you're gonna put the 1.5 in here, the other 1.5. Here's 1. Thank you, Ada. And 2/4. 2/4 makes 1/2. It's math class in here. Math and science. So 1.5 cups of milk goes on the stove, and 1/2 cup goes into this, into your egg yolk batter. And that's just to get the batter really a little bit smoother. There you go. Kind of be gentle so your cornstarch doesn't fly out. This is ready. And all you gotta do is heat up your milk right now, and you want it to start bubbling around the edges, get nice and hot, and that's how you're gonna cook your egg and make the custard. Get the milk going nice and hot, and you're gonna add your vanilla bean, vanilla paste, or vanilla extract. 1 good tablespoon for 1.5 cups of milk that we're gonna get back into the custard. And I always keep my notes next to me. That way I run over a couple of times just to make sure, even if the recipe is in my head and I know it by heart, I always glance over because it's so easy to forget something. And we're all human. We got busy lives, and we're running around and trying to manage 100 things at the same time. Here we go. This is bubbling around the edges. I'm gonna get it nice and hot, and then you're gonna temper it, which means you're slowly gonna add the hot to your cold by whisking constantly and slowly pouring this into this consistently. If you pour a little bit and whisk, then a little bit more and keep whisking, that's fine too. This is getting nice and hot. It's bubbling around the edges, all around the dish is nice and hot, and that's all you want. and you hear it, you can see the bubbles, turn it off, and bring it over. And here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna pour a little bit, you guys can see, and just keep whisking. Now make sure you have a pot with your hot milk that's light so you can hold it and do this. Yesterday when I made the original cake, I had my all-clad stainless steel. Boy, that was so heavy. I got a workout. So I'm making it this way today. And notice I can stop if I want to. You're not gonna do anything. The most important is to whisk, continuously whisking the egg yolk so it doesn't become scrambled. And just pour it in. This is tempering. This is the first step of your custard. And I wanna show you guys, always having a towel underneath your dish keeps it from floating around. And I wanna show you guys, I don't know if you can see, but all of that, the black beans, you can see from the vanilla paste. It's the best thing. So now we're back on to the stove, turn it on low, and pour your liquid, your custard onto the stove again. And I like to use the same dish. Why get everything dirty? And clean the bottom of the bowl. I hate to waste. And guess what? This bowl, keep it handy because once you're done, you're gonna go back in here again and I'll show you guys. Now the stove is on low. This cake is time consuming. It's not challenging at all. It's just time consuming. Seriously, this is the only part that you gotta kind of manage. The rest is quite simple, but it's time consuming. And now you're gonna cook the custard, which means it's gonna thicken. The minute you start feeling it get thicker on you, you're gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter and keep whisking it. The butter's gonna add texture and make it silky, not so custardy. But the most important thing you do right now is continuously whisking, because all of a sudden the cornstarch is gonna harden on you. And so if you ignore it, you're gonna ruin your custard. Yesterday, I ruined 3 batches. So be very aware and stay on top of it. It might take 5 minutes, it might take 4 minutes, and it might take you 7 minutes. All of that has to do with your stove, the heat, your dishes, believe it or not, play a factor. Your whisk will play a factor. This is all metal. Yesterday I had the ones that are plastic coated ones. It all plays a factor. So don't walk away even for a sip of water. If you have to, if you have someone in the kitchen, have them stand over it and whisk for you. It's slowly coming to. It's gonna bubble a little on top. One of the batches I made yesterday, instead of using cornstarch, I used baking soda. Oh my God, that was very interesting. It bubbled up and it just kept coming up. And I'm like, wait a minute, doesn't smell right. This smells great, just like custard. Okay, this is doing well. Yes, I want to make sure it's not too hot. How many minutes has it been? And usually, make sure you go around your bowl too, because that's where the heat comes from. In the bottom and all around. So don't let it thicken up there. You just kind of gotta go. It's so beautiful when you work hard on something, you put a lot of time into it and effort. This is not just, it's not effortless. You're working it, and at the end of the night, you serve it, and your guests love it. You get such satisfaction. More power to the bakeries that bake these all the time. Bless them. So this cake was called 100 layer cake. I think they make 50 layers of crepe, really thin, and so each layer gets a layer of custard. That's how it doubles and becomes 100 layers. Yesterday I made 50 layers, but I started it in the morning right before the kids went off to school, and what happened was the kids kept coming by and peeling another layer and taking it and eating it. You'll see the crepe is really tasty too. And so I ended up with 21 layers of crepe. So it was a 42 layer cake. And you know what? I'm going to call this my crepe layered cake. And from now on, just because I believe in cooks like that, Miss Jenner loved it, and it's gonna become my staple, is gonna be 21 layers. This is thickening. Look how thick it got. Now you gotta work it. That means you gotta be aware of your custard and your stove. I'm gonna move it up. It's still on very low, but it took about 5 minutes, I think. I wasn't really timing it. There it is. See how thick it got? It became custard. A little bit thicker, a little bit, just a touch. So when I add the butter, there's the consistency. You see that? Oh, it smells so good. That's the thickness you want. Turn off your stove and move it from the heat. Okay, and now I'm gonna add the butter. This custard is so much easier. It comes to faster than the custard with flour. The custard with flour is a little bit more time consuming. You really have to stand there whisking it for a good 20 minutes, but this is much faster. So 2 tablespoons of butter is about that much. I can eye it. Put that in there. Here we go. Now that I'm eyeing it, yeah, it's about that much. It really is. And I use good European butter in baking. I know it's a little bit, just a little bit more expensive, guys. It's not that much more expensive than the butter we buy here, and use always unsalted butter. Difference with European butter is the color is much more yellow and tense. And that's because the fat ratio to water is higher. And that is technically for baking or cooking. When it asks, your recipe asks for butter, it wants that fat ratio. Look at that. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous texture. It's so beautiful. So now, this is the next step. The custard is done. It's loose, it's hot. This is the part that's kind of time consuming, only because now we have to cool it off. So you bring your custard and your sift, and you're gonna push it through this. So if you have any lumps, you wanna smooth it out. Smooth it out. Smooth out any lumps. I can tell you by looking at it, I have no lumps because, well, I'm a pro at making custard. You can also use this custard for Napoleon. You know, use your puff pastry shells to make Napoleons at home. Oh my God, those are amazing. My kids love eating custard. I used to give them custard all the time when they were babies because it's good for them. Are you kidding? It's eggs and sugar, flour. That's it. You put that in there, and look, it's just going through. And the one that sits, you just push it through. This will smooth out your custard. You don't want to take anything out. You just kind of push it through, all the way through, like that. This recipe is, and then I'm gonna clean the bottom of my sift all the way. I don't wanna waste any of this. This is heaven. It's so tasty, it's so silky. It's not too sweet. My recipe is on the less sweet side, so if you guys are concerned, taste it. And if you feel like you want your custard to be, oh, this is so good. So good. It's just a touch sweet. It's not too sweet at all. You could add more sugar to your recipe, or let's say at this point you taste it and you figure, oh, I really want it to be sweeter. You can add more sugar to the whipped cream that you're gonna make. Now this is step one. You're gonna cover this. You know what's so funny? My finger had salt on it from the pinch of salt that I took, so it's really salty on my hand, but it's not that salty itself. So now I'm gonna show you guys how to cover this with plastic. This is how you cover custard or dough so it doesn't end up with a thick layer over the top. You kind of put your plastic over the bowl and you push it down so it doesn't get a layer on it. You push it down and you loosen the grip around the bowl. That way it can breathe and cool off. It'll just sit firmly on top of your custard or dough. When I'm letting my dough rise, this is exactly what I'm doing. And this way it won't sweat, no water will get in there, and put it in the refrigerator, let it cool off. Once this is cooled off, I'm going to make the whipped cream and you fold it in. That'll be part two. Part two is going to be the whipped cream and also the batter for the crepes. So make sure you check that out. Hit the like button if you like it. Ask any questions you have, go ahead and email me. You can find me on Instagram in Sarah's Kitchen, and you can contact me that way too. Leave a comment, I always respond. So I'm gonna sign off and come back because I want these videos to be in order. Stay tuned for part two, and that'll be the batter for the crepe, making the crepe, and the whipped cream. And part three will be combining everything. Thank you guys for watching.